Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a first look at some upcoming highway map changes. So, these changes have come to the Supertest about a month or so ago now, but I've waited and held off from making this video just in case we saw another iteration of changes, because we saw two massive proposed changes for highway in a space of about 2 weeks. This is the second version. So, what are they actually planning to do? Well, they are basically planning to massively rework the approach to the city, massively rework the approach to where the medium tanks used to play, position, that tank destroyers used to play, basically regenerating this map almost entirely for every single type of tank. There's going to be a whole new load of positions for light, TDs and mediums. Heavy tanks are going to have a lot more opportunities to play other positions than just the city. So, let's actually have a look at this. So, before, this is what the traditional medium flank, where, you get some light tanks playing in and around here, mediums playing in and around here, side of the map. Pretty stale, pretty boring, becomes a kind of peek and trade kind of gameplay. Well, this is what it's going to look like after. This might be one of the single biggest changes to a map without just completely deleting the map and then bringing it back 5 years later kind of changes. This is huge. So, the entire style of gameplay for this corner is going to be different. There is a whole new way to cross to this side of the map, so either side is going to be able to cross significantly more safely, and the one word you're going to hear me repeat a lot today is going to be progression. There is significantly more angles for progression than before, so whereas before, if we look, the way you progress is down to here. You've got this building here, you've got this building here. Crossing this is almost impossible if you've not done it early game. And then you're kind of screwed. You have this small little ridgeline here, but that's about it. Coming up from the other side, you've got the ridgeline here, you've got the house here, but then after that, you've kind of not really got anything. This change is going to address that. So, you've got positions to play here initially, then further up to here. Looks like then this house here, then here. Then you've got this kind of like dip in here, which looks like you can probably play into. Then here, and then here, and then from the other side, exactly the same. So there's significantly more angles of progression. There's going to be a whole new light tank positions on top of here. On top of here, TD positions as well in these kind of similar areas. Yeah, it's a pretty drastic change. So, let's keep going. So, this is what the field looks like before from the other side. So, the side we were just looking at. Very, very bland once again. No real progression. Light tanks, very limited places to play. This is what it's going to look like after from that side. So, these bushes here are going to be loved by light tanks and TDs. Same for these here. This basically whole mound is probably going to be a light tank kind of position for the southern side, and same again for here. But we can see the kind of different angles of progression. It means that once you've won this side for either side, you've got mounds to progress up to then be able to play off and deal with the next line of defense. It's good. I really like this. This looks like it's going to be really promising, and I hope that this isn't changed massively, it's just refined, because this looks really promising. So, this is once again having a little bit more of a detailed look at the corner, so let's have a look and see what it's saying. So this is going to kind of give us a bit of an idea how this might play. So, it looks like this dip is going to be deep enough to play into. So say, for example, they're making a hold like here and here, maybe here. You can maybe play into this dip, along here, into this dip, and maybe make some positions here. Maybe even further along like here and make some kind of crossfire positions. There's some really nice dug-in positions, so maybe you could take across to here and then play off the buildings here and stop them being able to cross in. Same again for this side, be able to cross into here, crossfire here. It just looks dynamic, and there's lots and lots of progression, which I really do like. And progression is key because it stops a game becoming stale and it kind of rewards skill. And if these positions aren't too overpowered, it rewards skill and marksmanship to beat your opponents, rather than I have a better position than you. You may win this flank and kill all my other teammates, but I just have such an overpowered position that you can't do anything about me. If this is balanced and these positions are all, you know, equal to each other, it then rewards skill and marksmanship, and you then have the ability to be able to progress, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, rather than just once and then you're kind of stuck. So I like it. So this is taking a little bit more of a detailed look at what the middle looks like now. So, you know, you've got the bridge, light tanks playing in around here, TDs here, you know, some lights play here, pretty stale. And this is what it's going to look like after. So we can kind of see the river kind of still flowing through, but we can see some humongous changes in the background. So the approach over to the northern side being massively changed, which we'll look at in a second. There's a whole new range of buildings and non-destructibles, so destructible and non-destructible buildings in the field here. The TD positions have been massively flattened out. There's new bushes, new buildings with bushes, which are going to be loved by light tanks. I mean, here, for example, a destructible building with a bush. Yeah, that's going to be a light tank's favourite to spot this entire area. And probably over to here as well. And there's just positions to fall back to. Say, for example, you get spotted in a light. You previously were dead. You were spotted, you had nowhere to run to, no cover. You can now get spotted from here, maybe run back to here and be safe. I don't know. It's just looking promising. So, let's transition to the other side of the map now. So this is what the field, so this massive open field looks like currently. Completely open. You can't cross it. Only real thing that happens in it is lights play here, and that's basically it. Well, if it loads, massive changes are coming. They have changed the height of the entire terrain. So in the middle of the field, there's now uneven, raised terrain, which lights can play under, mediums can play under. They've also massively changed the height of the southern spawn. So the southern spawn, if we have a look, we can kind of see, much lower in terrain, which means that it's easier to get up to, easier to get down from. Basically meaning that these positions in the middle are going to be more relevant. These bushes here, I imagine, will probably be hotly contested for by light tanks because they're going to be basically pretty central vision, which is really important and really, really game-changing. I can see these bushes down here still being useful. And TDs are going to love playing around this new hard cover at the back here. Pretty dynamic changes, pretty huge changes, as I said. So, let's kind of look at this from a different angle, which is going to be the cross into the city from the south to the north. So, this is what it looks like currently. You know, some lights play the bushes here and here and here, and you basically just trundle your way down here into here. That's basically what you do. And this is what it's going to look like now. So, you've still got to kind of trundle down, but the river has gone. The bridge has gone. So, it's a lot more flat. There's a lot more positions to kind of, if you lose the city, for example, and fall back, you can play it in and around here and not really have the opponent sit too easily above you because there's a lot more positions behind you which are covering. And if you can fall back to here. Looks like maybe you could play in and around here. Maybe this is like slightly higher. It's just, once again, a lot more progression and regression. So if you've lost, you've got positions to fall back to. And if you win, you've got positions to get underneath the gun line here. Obviously, it's still really risky, but if you're underneath the gun line, then yeah, it's going to be pretty strong. I like this a lot. And we can kind of see how the height of the terrain has changed, whereas this used to be a massive downhill and a massive uphill. It's now a pretty flat ground, a little bit of a downhill and a little bit of an uphill. So, interesting. So this is looking at the cap from the south currently. Destructible buildings, kind of relatively hard to cap if the buildings are destroyed. Relatively easy to cap if the buildings aren't destroyed. Lots of TD positions here and here. Yeah, pretty stale. This is what it's being changed to now. So we've got some new hard cover over here. The cap is relatively virtually unchanged. So you've still got your destructible buildings. TD position here is going to be much easier to play, it looks like, because you've not got this ridge which they can get to underneath you. So if they're driving down this way, you have shots on them all the way. But once again, they shouldn't really ever just drive straight down this way because there's new lines of progression into here. We can kind of get an idea how these bushes are going to work, how you might get up into them. So for these bushes, it's up here. Whether you're going to be able to get on top of this one, I'm not too sure. Maybe up here, maybe up here. This one looks relatively easy, just drive up to like this, drive up to like this. Yeah, lots of new lines of fire from the southern base to defend, which I like. But no, doesn't look like there's going to be any massively overpowered ones, which is important. It looks like you are going to be able to progress closer and closer underneath the gun line to the point where you spot them, and then that position becomes null and void. So this is the cap from the northern side currently. So most TDs kind of sit here or here, kind of over to the right-hand side over here. Relatively hard to cap this side. Lots of positions here to hold. Yeah, well, this is what it's going to look like after. So, much easier to play in and around the riverbed here, an easier approach and easier exit. This massive cliff here has been deleted, so you can kind of drive down much quicker underneath the bridge. Some new hard cover here with bushes for TDs to play, which is going to be pretty strong, I think. They've kind of massively flattened out this big ridge line here, so kind of trees, kind of TD position here. These bushes have been extended, more new TD positions shooting on the approach out of city. The new corner city, which is pretty interesting. And also they've massively reworked the entire approach over to the kind of northern medium tank side, what it was. So previously, this is what it looked like. Kind of pretty flat, pretty stale. We can kind of see how stale it is. And here's what it looks like now. New buildings, new cover, a new cliff here, covering you from fire from over here. Looks like you're going to be able to relatively safely cross into this, because this looks like it's lower ground than over here. It's dynamic, there's progression, and once again, there's regression. If you win, and you're the southern side, and you win this side, you can progress up to here, under the ridge line here, which should be safe from this. Maybe even, like, along here, into the dip here, along here, into the dip here. Kind of been able to make these positions irrelevant. It's really strong, but it also looks really balanced, which I think is what's important at the end of the day. And same again, pushing down this side, there's loads of angles where you can fall back to and hold. Like here looks like really strong off the kind of haul down here, covering this angle. Here looks really strong, covering kind of this whole thing. There's some hard cover to kind of play in and around. Maybe in the dip here, maybe be able to cover this entire kind of like mini village here. Pretty strong, but also looks pretty balanced. So that's a pretty comprehensive overview of the new highway changes coming to the Supertest, or on the Supertest currently. I think they look really promising. I really do. And I think that highway is one of those maps which doesn't necessarily need a huge change, because the gameplay isn't broken. It's just that the gameplay currently is stale. It needs a rework because it's stale, not because there's broken positions. It looks like the city is going to be completely untouched, so kind of up here is going to be completely untouched. It's mainly just going to be approaches to positions, and then defensive positions which have been reworked, which I think is a really good change for this map. The city is balanced, I think, currently. Either side slightly stronger for one side, but that's completely okay because the other positions on the map are slightly weaker for that side. I really love the field rework. I think that's going to make it so much more playable for all types of tanks. Lights, mediums, TDs, heavies, 100% going to love playing in and around that new city. There's some of what was originally the really strong defensive positions have been reworked. Some of them have been added new positions. There's new positions in the field, which was previously just a large section of the map, which was unplayable. I think this is going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be really good for progression. As to when we're going to see these changes, I don't know. I would imagine Q1, Q2 2025. So we're talking January, February, March, April, May, maybe into June 2025. Obviously, there is also the humongous Overlord changes, which got released at a very similar time to these highway ones, kind of end of October, start of November. Yeah, I hold out real hope for these changes. I think they're going to be really promising. And yeah, do let me know down in the comments what you think about these changes. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think any positions look particularly overpowered or not? And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon.